Why were we created in the first place? How did we get here? And also, what's our purpose in life? How can we know any of these things? A God of Abraham, a God of Moses, a God of Jesus. Who are you talking about? How may we know this God? Who is this God related to? Allah ordered Muhammad, peace be upon him, Qul, say to them, He is Allah alone, without any partners. This is one of the most important facets of Islam.
Islam, like the precious gem, has many beautiful facets. Explore with us now the facets of Islam.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I'm your host, Yusuf Estes, and for the next few minutes, I'd like to talk about one of the beautiful facets of Islam. All of the facets of any gem work together to produce the beautiful image that we all behold. And so the same is with this particular one that we call pure, the pureness of Islam. When we think about pure as Muslims, we consider how Allah is pure in every aspect. We consider how His deen or religion is pure in every aspect. We consider the purity of the message that comes, the pureness of the prophets. Each of these has a certain amount of purity, but only Allah is absolutely and totally pure in all of His attributes. What we know about Allah is that He is so pure that there's no room for any defect whatsoever. Allah, the one and the only, the creator, the sustainer, the provider. In His attributes, in His names, each of these is the epitome of that particular characteristic. Consider when Allah is talking about His mercy, and it's absolute in His mercy, His forgiveness and the absoluteness of His forgiveness, His love, and it's also absolute. The word in Arabic for His love is called wadud, and He is al-wadud, the loving, and there's no end to His love. When we speak about the pureness of His message that comes to us, this also is pure, unadulterated, doesn't change. What changes is how people view things and how they interpret things. So we see right away that the imperfection doesn't come from Allah, but rather it comes from ourselves. Allah tells us in the Quran an amazing statement about the human being and about pureness, that He has created us, all of us, the human beings, in the most pure shape, the best of forms. But then, ثُمَّ رَدَّدْنَهُمْ أَسْفَلَ سَافِلِينَ. Then the human beings have reduced themselves down to the lowest of all low. And this is because He, in His wisdom, has given us the opportunity to choose, to think, to make choices. This also is pure in its essence because He is allowing us full and total choice, never forcing, never pushing, but rather leaving it open, wide open for us to choose. He tells us in the Quran, La ikraha fid-din, that there is no compulsion. There's no compulsion in the deen. Now the deen itself is pure because the deen or the way comes only from Him. And we know that He is not forcing anyone to choose it. So this is also pure in that you have full access at any time you would like to choose the right way. At the same time, though, you have full access to choose something else. Of course, there's only one right way, so obviously any other choice would be incorrect. But this helps to set the tone for the understanding when we talk about purity. Of course, again, we repeat that only Allah is absolutely pure. His message is pure until it reaches the human beings. And His deen is pure until we see those who try to perform the deen. Let us look now to the prophets. I want to talk about the purity of the prophets so that we don't misunderstand and begin to think that they, the prophets themselves, are as pure as Allah, because they're humans, so they're not perfect. However, they are pure in many aspects, and this kind of purity is very beautiful, much better, let's say, than the average human being, but at the same time, it's not the absolute or the divine pure of Allah. Adam, the first prophet, when he comes, Allah creates him from what? From dirt. And then Allah blows life into him and gives him the knowledge to know what to call the things that Allah has created. Gives him the knowledge to make choices, to understand things. Then He gives him a test. The test from Allah for Adam is simple. Simply, do not eat the fruit from this tree. Over time, though, Adam forgets. He forgets that he's been told not to do this. He forgets that he was in the perfect shape from the very beginning. He forgets that if he does this, it's going to cause a problem, and then he eats from it. As a result of this, he has sinned, and he needs to repent. And this too is pure in Islam to understand how it works. The human is created, given choices, and then when he makes the wrong choice, the most important thing is, what does he do next? If he's honest, and if he's straightforward, and he said, I made a mistake, and I want to repent, this is a source of purification for him. This is a way to come back to his pure nature. However, if he lies, if he deceives himself, and says, well, no, I didn't really do something wrong, or it's not really my fault, or, you know, this wife I have, she made me do it, or this devil over here, he made me do it. This is not pure, because the blaming of someone else for your own choices is certainly not correct. Therefore, we understand immediately that the pureness of the nature of the human being can be restored, can be brought back. How? By this tawbah or repentance and going back to Allah. He, Adam, the first prophet, was pure in every aspect because Allah created him and perfected him in this perfect mold. But understand that with choice, it means that the person is free to do what they want to do. They can remain in this good state as long as they don't make wrong choices. But obviously, that's not going to happen because why? The human being is not perfect. Only Allah is perfect. And He's created us with these certain purities and imperfections at the same time so that we can go through these life experiences and be tested. And this again is all a part of the being pure. When Adam, peace be upon him, was created, he was the only person. Then from his rib, Allah created his mate. From both of them, Allah brought forth all the human beings, as we mentioned in other of our programs on these facets of Islam. One of the important things to understand, though, is that Allah tells us that He pulled all of us, all of the souls were in the backbone of Adam since the beginning. All of us, you and I, were there. He pulled us, Allah pulled us out of the backbone of Adam. And then He asked us an important question. He says, am I not your Lord? We all acknowledged, yes, you're my Lord. Then He erased that from our minds and put us back into the backbone of Adam. You may wonder, what's the significance of this event? Well, first of all, is to know that every one of us has already been in front of our Lord. We have all acknowledged, in fact, that He is the Rabb, the Lord, the owner on the Day of Judgment. We have acknowledged that. But then He removed that from our mind. We have no memory of that. And in the Arabic language, we are called insan. And insan is related to the word nasiya. Nasiya. What does this mean? Nasiya is to forget. So the human being was created to forget. Allah knew when He created us that we would forget. Whereas Allah is pure and He never forgets. So, consider, we know better, but we make mistakes anyway. Why? Because we've forgotten the ramifications of our actions. We have overlooked in our mind what will happen when we do this, or what will happen when we do that. So then what happens, we make wrong choices. Some of the wrong choices are rather small. Others are pretty big, and some of them are horrific. Really, really bad, terrible choices. Now, the prophets were pure in their essence of being able to deliver the message. However, as we've already mentioned, they were humans, and humans make mistakes. So when we look to the prophets and we said, oh, he made a mistake, or he did this, he did that. Yes, because he's human. But they never ever make the major mistake, the big mistake of worshiping other than Allah. That is the purity. I want to talk more about this beautiful facet of Islam. When we come back, we're going to take a short break, reflect on this for a moment, and then come back and be with us on Facets of Islam. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Yusuf Estes. We're back with Facets of Islam. We've been talking about an important facet of Islam, about pure, the word pure. We talked about how Allah is pure, and we talked about the message being pure. The deen of Islam is pure as well. What is deen, by the way? And deen does not really mean religion. Oftentimes we see this word treated as the word religion in English. However, we have to understand that it's something much bigger, because the deen of someone is their way. This is what a person does. Not just on Sunday, not on Saturday, not just on Friday, but rather it's what they do every day, from the time they wake up till the time they go to bed, from the time they're born until the time they die. They're in their deen, whatever their deen may be. So it's their way. Allah tells us about the perfection of this deen, how pure it is. And this is also another facet that we have in Islam, the pureness and the perfection and the wholeness. All of this applies to Islam. But look how complete the deen of Islam is. If a person wants to know, then just as you would go to the store and purchase a new computer, a printer, a new phone set, anything that you buy comes along with this manual, this book, which tells you how to operate. Oftentimes it comes with two manuals. One telling you the nuts and bolts treatment of something, and then another showing you how to use it. So if you need repairs, you go to one book, and then if you want to see some of the innovative ways and creative things that you can do with your piece of equipment, you go to the other book or the other section of the book. And in the same way, Allah has sent down to us revelation with prophets over the centuries. We spoke about the prophets. We mentioned that they are having pure qualities about them, although they're not perfect like God. The way they come with their message is also something really pure, something beautiful. Because when the prophet comes to you and he has his revelation, in this case we're going to talk about the Quran, we're going to be talking about Muhammad, peace be upon him, and he comes with the Quran. The Quran is pure, absolutely pure, and it comes from the pure book with Allah in the heavens, fi lawhim mahfuz, as Allah says in the Quran. Then we have the Quran. It's telling us basically the nuts and bolts. But then how do we implement, and how can we understand what we're learning from the Quran? And we have the example of our prophet. And this also is a pure teaching. So we have the Quran on the one side, and then here we have the explanation or the implementation of the Quran in this Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So when these prophets came, they gave the message to their people from their Lord, and then gave the example on how to do it with their own lives. I want to think about that for a minute, because imagine that you can understand something in writing, but how do I put that into practice? I can look over here and I say, oh, I see what he's doing. I find in the Quran, as an example, O you who believe, be righteous, have piety in front of your Lord, your God, and always speak the truth. When I look to Muhammad now, he's my example. How did he understand that? What did he do? How can I understand from his life? And what I find is that this is a man who used to stand in the night when he didn't have to, but he would stand in the night and pray and cry. He would fast when he didn't have to, do away with food and drink for the sake of his Lord. He was kind to the people, even when they were rude and crude toward him. He responded always in the best way, regardless of how people came to him. Whatever they did to him, his response was going to be good. But then, how about the truthfulness? Because it also says, and always speak the truth. He was so truthful, he was so honest, that you know what? He was called a Sadiq. In the Arabic language, it means he's the truthful. Even before prophethood, even before he was grown, when he was still a young man, a young boy, people knew him because he's so truthful. This boy, he's truthful. He's a Sadiq. So I learn from my book, the Quran, what I need to do, but how I need to do it, I'm getting from my prophet. This gives me the perfect balance of this purity. The purity of the message of Islam is something that when it enters the heart, it changes the person. So often I hear about people who come into Islam from some other religion or no religion at all, and then their character immediately begins to change. Their mother, their father, their brothers, sisters, friends, relatives all comment, you're different now. And in some cases, people will say, you're no fun anymore. You don't like to go out and drink with us anymore. You don't like to go out and party anymore. You don't like to hang out. You don't like to do stuff. Hey, you're boring. Well, of course, that's where they're coming from with their understanding. But the purity of Islam really does that. It cleans the person up, and it brings them back to, in a sense, their original creation. What is the original creation of a human being? Is it pure? Because in some religions, they've told us that children are born in sin. Children are born carrying the sins of the fathers, sins of the mothers, sins of their forefathers, even up to 10 generations being passed on, sin on top of sin. But according to Islam, the child is born pure and absolutely innocent. Now watch this. According to what we have in the old scripture from the teachings of Jesus, he's saying to them to allow the children to come unto me, because this is like the kingdom of heaven. The exact quote from the Old English says, suffer the children to come unto me, for such is the kingdom of heaven. But in modern English, we understand suffer to mean allow, permit. What was he telling the people? If he wasn't saying just exactly what we said. The kingdom of heaven is like the nature of these children. Now let us look to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And what did he say? Did he confirm what was mentioned here by Jesus? He told his companions that every child is born on the fitra of al-Islam. Now I have to translate that for you a little bit. Fitra means the natural inclination, the way that somebody is. This is their fitra. This is their way, their natural, what they are all about. He said the fitra of al-Islam, which means the surrender, submission, obedience, and peace in sincerity with your Lord. It's a wholeness. And he's saying a baby is born on that, in this pure condition. And he said then it's their parents that will raise them up to become a Jew or a Christian or a fire worshiper or whatever religion they have. And consider that for a minute. Isn't that really what we all do? We start out innocent enough, but then the environment around us, our parents, relatives, teachers, preachers, and those who are in our environment, they're teaching us how to accept things the way they understand it. And this is how we get bent off of this straight purity that we started on. If we consider how pure a baby starts, and then we consider how humans wind up, we can understand a little bit now of what's happening when we hear in the Quran that statement. I want to go back to that. I want you to think about it again. And Allah says, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ السَّافِلِينَ. That He has created us in the very best of shapes, in the best mold. But then we ourselves reduced ourselves down to the lowest of the low. And this is all because of what? Because of the improper choices we have made. But because we have this natural inclination to go off and forget, to overlook what we've been told, to go on and do what we want to do anyway. I want this, I'm going to do that, I'm just going to do it. And somebody warning you, but no, I want to do it anyway. And then when the damage comes, we say, oh, what have I done? But we were created to be able to make choices, but the best part is how to come back to the state of that baby again. How can I come back to this natural fitra of Islam? How can I come back to this good, pure relationship with my Lord? What can I do? And Islam has provided us the way to come back to our Lord. In the Quran, Allah says, Inna lillahi wa inna alayhi raji'un. From Allah we came, and to Allah is the return. The meaning is clear for us now. We were in front of Allah, remember? And He asked us, am I not your Lord? And we all said yes. It was removed from us. Then we went out into the life and we did whatever we did, starting pure in front of our Lord. But the environment, the influence, as we grew and changed and started to do this and that and so. But now, how do I get back to that beautiful status that I started in? How? Islam gave us the way. Tawbah. Tawbah. Go back. Just go back. You know you're going the wrong way. You're on a street, you're going the wrong way. You know where your destination is behind you. What do? You turn around. You make a U-turn. Tawbah. Go back. Go back to your Lord. How? How can I go back to Him? It's simple. Clear your heart. Say, I'm sorry. Admit your mistake to Him. Ask Him to forgive you. And when you do, you start cleaning. Cleaning. Some of the things a person can do to purify themselves, to get back to this state, number one is make shahada. Declare publicly there's only one God to worship, and He has no partners, and Muhammad's His messenger. This shahada, if it's sincere, wipes away all the sins. A person starts over again as though they were newborn, as a baby. All bad deeds are wiped off of the slate. They get to keep all the good deeds. There's a bonus for you. Keeping your good deeds, throwing away all the bad deeds. And this is one of the beautiful facets of Islam.